Comparison doesn't just steal joy, it steals clarity. And once clarity is gone, once you lose sight of your actual constraints, your actual advantages, your actual starting point, effort gets wasted in directions that were never meant for you in the first place. If you don't consciously run your own race, you will unconsciously run someone else's. And you'll wonder why you're exhausted, why nothing's working, why you feel behind, despite doing everything right. No one starts at the same place, not in talent, not in temperament, not in support systems, not in timing. Some people were trained early, had parents who recognized their aptitude and invested in coaches, lessons, equipment, had adults who believed in them and cleared obstacles. Some people were protected, had financial safety nets, could afford to fail for years without catastrophic consequences, could take risks that would destroy someone starting from poverty or instability. Some people were encouraged, were told they were capable, were surrounded by examples of success, absorbed confidence as a default setting rather than having to construct it from scratch. Some people were lucky, were born in the right place, at the right time, with the right genes, into the right networks. And none of that, absolutely none of it, is evenly distributed. When you compare outcomes without accounting for starting lines, you don't get motivation, you don't get useful information, you get distortion, you get a false sense of what's possible, what's required, what timeline makes sense. You start making plans that only work in someone else's life, with someone else's resources, someone else's risk tolerance, someone else's completely different set of constraints. Comparison is seductive because it promises certainty. If I do what they did, I'll get what they got. It looks like a formula, like a recipe you can follow, like proof that success is replicable if you just work hard enough, believe hard enough, copy the steps precisely enough. But that's not how reality works. You don't see their unseen advantages, the mentor who made an introduction, the trust fund that bought them 3 years to experiment, the spouse who covered expenses while they built. You don't see their specific constraints, the trade-offs they made that you might not be willing to make, the parts of their life they sacrificed that you actually value. You don't see their off-camera failures, the ventures that collapsed, the relationships that ended, the years of obscurity they don't mention in the highlight reel. You don't see their tolerance for specific kinds of pain. Some people can handle financial uncertainty, but crack under social pressure. Others thrive in chaos, but can't sustain repetitive work. You see the polished outcome and mistake it for a roadmap. That's not inspiration, that's miscalculation. And miscalculation costs years. One of the most damaging forms of comparison is time. They're younger than me and already further along. They figured it out already. I'm behind. Behind what? An imaginary schedule you never agreed to. A timeline that exists nowhere except in your head, constructed from social media posts and cherry-picked success stories. Progress is not linear. It doesn't move at a steady pace for everyone in every field, and it's definitely not synchronized. Some people peak early. They get their wins in their 20s, burn bright, and then plateau or fade. Some people peak late. They build slowly, with setbacks and detours, and hit their stride in their 40s or 50s. And when they do, they often last longer because their foundation is more solid. Some people build incrementally, small wins that compound, nothing dramatic, nothing that makes headlines, just steady improvement over decades. The only timeline that matters, the only one that's actually useful, is this. Are you moving forward from where you actually are, not from where you wish you were? not from where someone else started, from your actual position, with your actual resources, at your actual age. That's the only comparison that generates useful information. When emulation turns into self-sabotage, 6 to 7:45. Learning from others is smart. Studying what works, what doesn't, what patterns repeat across successful people, that's essential. Becoming a clone is not. There's a line, and most people cross it without realizing. The moment you suppress your own strengths to imitate someone else's, the moment you start doing things their way, because it looks right, rather than because it actually fits who you are, you're trading advantage for familiarity. You stop asking, what works for me? What leverages my specific strengths, tolerates my specific constraints, fits my specific life? And you start asking, what looks legitimate? What will people respect? What matches the pattern I've seen rewarded? That shift alone, that move from self-alignment to external validation is enough to stall a life. Because now you're optimizing for appearances rather than results, for comfort rather than effectiveness, for fitting in rather than winning the game you're actually playing. This is where people get it wrong, where they misunderstand what run your own race actually means. Running your race is not an excuse. It's not settling. It's not giving up on excellence, because excellence is hard. It's not about lowering standards. It's not about making peace with mediocrity because you're afraid of competition. It's about choosing relevant excellence over borrowed prestige. It's saying, I will be judged by the rules of the path I'm on, not someone else's. I will compete where my advantages actually matter, not where they're neutralized by the wrong environment. That takes more honesty, not less. More self-awareness, more courage to disappoint people who expected you to chase conventional markers of success. It's harder to run your own race than to follow someone else's. Because when you run your own race, the results are your responsibility. You can't blame the path. You can't say, I did what they did and it didn't work. You chose it. You own it. When you're aligned with your own constraints and strengths, when you stop fighting reality and start working with it, something subtle happens. Decisions get lighter. They stop feeling heavy, weighted with significance and anxiety. Trade-offs make sense. You stop agonizing over what you're giving up because you understand what you're gaining. Effort compounds instead of leaking. Instead of spreading yourself across 10 different approaches that all feel slightly wrong, you focus. And focus is where progress lives. You stop oscillating between envy and self-doubt, between why can't I do what they're doing and maybe I'm just not good enough, because you're no longer playing a game you can't win. You're playing one where your odds improve with time and consistency. Focus returns, and focus is rare. Most people never experience sustained focus because they're constantly course-correcting based on what everyone else is doing. When you commit to your own race, focus becomes possible. And once you have focus, progress becomes inevitable. You don't need a better race. You need the right one, the one that fits your actual life, your actual strengths, your actual constraints, your actual definition of success, stripped of performance and pretense. Comparison will always offer shortcuts. It will always show you someone who got there faster, easier, younger, and it will whisper that you should be doing what they're doing. But those shortcuts come with hidden costs you don't see until it's too late, until you've spent years optimizing for someone else's game and realized you never actually wanted the prize. Run your race, accept your starting line, play the long game that actually belongs to you, not the one that looks best from the outside, the one that works from the inside. Next time, we're going to talk about the "but I don't wanna" fallacy and why ignoring your strengths is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make. We all can't be astronauts, but we can stop racing towards someone else's finish line